Hey, welcome to Outsmart Your Guitar. I'm glad you could join us. Today in Licks and Tricks, we're going to do a trick. And this trick involves using open strings in your soloing to help you navigate the fretboard in a pretty cool little fashion. It's a lot of fun. It's not difficult, but it will take a little time to master. And I'm going to help you do that right now. So let's get right to it, and be sure to like and subscribe to Outsmart Your Guitar along the way. Okay, let's start off with a progression that you're going to play over, right? So you got a G, a D, a C add 9, which basically is your G. Just lift your little finger off and move these over to play the bottom part of the C chord. And that's your C add 9. That's the add 9, right? And then back to G and then D. And so here is basically how the progression works. 4. Round and round, right? So learn the progression. And again, this isn't about speed. I've played it around 90, 100 beats a minute, maybe a little bit faster, but this is based on your facility playing lead, wherever you are in your progress. If you're a little slower, play the progression a little slower. The stuff I teach is not difficult for you to learn, though it may take a little time. But you can play it when you slow it down at a tempo where you can actually execute the licks, right? And so we really encourage that. So take a few minutes, learn this, and then record it into your looper, and then set that aside, and we'll get to the licks. Now that you have the rhythm part learned and recorded into your looper at a nice tempo, let's turn to the solo. As the progression is 8 bars long, so the solo is 8 bars long. So let's look at the first part of this, the first measure. You're just going to start off real easy. On the third beat, you're playing the open B string. And here is the trick. You're using an open string so that you can now change positions on the fretboard. You'll notice I came up from the open position to the, well, technically the third position. We're in the key of G, right? So I'm in the third position of the G scale. That open string gives you time to move to the new place on the fretboard, here at the 7th fret on the 3rd string, and then you continue. Then you bend on the first beat, the beginning of the second beat, play on the 10th fret of the 1st string, and then on the end of 2, you're going to play the bent string again, so you keep that bend going, and you release in time. So it's and 3, and 4, and. So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when you release, don't play 3 and 3. So that is a what's called a silent bend, right? Because you're already bent. Now you're going to release in time on 3 and 4 and. So work on those 2 bars, knitting them together, and then get them smoothed out. And that's how it's supposed to sound. Now remember, if you need to rewind at any point and review the explanation and demonstration throughout this lesson, do just that. It's the beauty of the technology. Now, you've got the first 2 bars done. Let's look at the 3rd bar. Whoops. Now here on the 4th beat, you're going to play the open string so that you can move back down to the 3rd fret of the second string and the open position. Pretty cool, huh? Now, get that down and put it together with the first two measures. And you've used an open string ascending and an open string descending to change positions. And that's the trick, all right? Now, what you want to do is play through all three measures and smooth it out, and then put it to a metronome at a tempo where you can play it smooth and flowing. Remember, it's about quality of execution, not speed, all right? So take a few minutes and really get this down. Just want to drop in here for a moment and remind you that down in the description is a link to patreon.com/outsmartyourguitar. Click on the link, go on over, and join for free and have access to a number of lessons you can test drive before becoming a full-on patron by subscribing at one of 3 levels. In so doing, you will have access to a whole lot of lessons that are not featured here, expanded versions of many lessons that are featured here, and all written material for lessons that include it. Sound good? All right, let's get back to the lesson. We ended the first 3 bars on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Now, in the 4th bar, we continue and then in the 5th measure, open G so we can move to the 7th fret of the 4th string. Another open string, the high E, so that we can move up to the 12th fret. So I'm just going to go to there. So you've got 2 movements in that 5th measure using open strings, going from the open position up to the 3rd position, and now up to the 5th position of the scale. So play those 2 measures and get them down and put it to a metronome. Then, if you really want to be industrious, go back and connect them to the first 3 measures. And that's what it'll sound like. Now, you can do that, so make sure you put it to a metronome and play it at a tempo that is actually manageable. It's very important that you play it with the quality of execution in mind. Now we're up here at the end of the 2nd measure, so we go to, or not the 2nd measure, the 5th measure. Now we go to the 6th measure. Pretty easy stuff. All right. Then learn that, get it down, play all 3 of these measures. Then if you're feeling really bold, connect all 6 measures now. and play all 6 measures to a metronome, and don't move forward until you can play them very well with minimal incidental mistakes. Remember, the additive process actually helps you reinforce previously learned measures by adding a measure or two at a time to what you've already learned and going over those measures. The first measures will start to feel really comfortable. The second group of measures will be okay. The third group, and so forth, right? This way, you're actually progressing forward in learning a solo in a way that is a little more organic and less frustrating, because you're just working on small bits and then connecting them to previous small bits that you've already learned. All right? So take a few minutes and really get these first 6 measures down. All right, let's look at the final 2 measures of the solo. Remember, we ended here on the 13th fret of the 2nd string, so we keep going. Now, the and of 2 is the open high E string, so we can get to the 3rd string at the 7th fret. And then we play the open 3rd string, so we can get down to the open position. And that's it. So you're using the open E and the open G to change positions. You're going from the 5th position to the 3rd position to the open position of the scale. This is technically the 5th position here as well. So you're literally spanning the whole fretboard in this descending lick. Pretty cool, huh? So practice this for a couple of minutes and get it down, put it to a metronome, get it smoothed out. Then you know what to do after that. All right. During the course of getting this solo down, if you find that the tempo you're actually able to execute it is slower than what you recorded your rhythm into your looper at, that's okay. Re-record the rhythm at the slower tempo. Quality of execution is far more important than speed, as we always insist and maintain. All right, that said, here's what you're going for. 3, 4. And that's it. Okay. Again, quality of execution matters more than anything else. And you'll notice you've been playing all the way up and back down the fretboard in the process, using open strings to help you switch positions. And that's the trick. Okay. So practice this progression and solo until you get it down so smooth that those transitions are actually happening almost without thinking about it. And you will see that this is a wonderful trick to integrate into your normal playing. All right, there you go. You learned some licks to integrate the trick into your playing. And that's the whole idea here, to look for places where this technique of using open strings to change positions can be applied in your playing, either in solos you already know or in solos you're learning, even creating yourself, so that you can start to integrate this technique, this trick, into your normal playing habits. And this is really important to understand that you have to do that in order to retain this new thing that you've learned. If you have been working on arpeggios, for example, if you're just working on them kind of detached from anything, but not really integrating them and putting them to work in your normal soloing, you're going to find that you don't really play them very well after a while. You start to lose that edge that you gained in taking the time to learn how to play arpeggios. Well, you've got to integrate them so you're using them in your normal everyday play. This is important for any technique that you're learning. Find places to put it in and integrate it so that you're using it all the time. Okay? That'll do for this Licks and Trick episode. Thank you again for spending the time here to learn what I have to teach. I really do appreciate the time you spend because I know your time is valuable. All right, so you take care until next time, and we'll see you there.